Clarity isn't coming from asking once. It comes from this diligent practice that is consistent and it's done for a long period of time. Welcome to the Yoga Lens podcast with Moni and Emily from Vim Yoga Academy. Here we explore life through a yogic lens, from teaching and philosophy to everyday life, mindsets, and all the messiness in between. This is yoga on and off the mat and in motion.
Hi, and welcome back to the Yoga Lens podcast. I'm Moni, and I'm here with the co-founder and my colleague and friend, Emily of Vim Yoga Academy. Hi, Emily.
Hi, hi.
Hi. We're back. If you haven't joined us before and this is the first time, the Yoga Lens podcast is somewhere where Emily and I sit and discuss everything to do with yoga on and off the mat and everything in between and far away and back again.
Yes.
So today, Emily, you have brought an idea to the table, which I'm really excited to talk about. The concept that you're bringing to the table today, which is clarity, and how your practice helps you gain clarity and how it leads to clarity of action. And so let's kick off there. Do you want to just introduce us to some of your thoughts around this and what has brought you to want to discuss it?
Yeah. So this concept or the idea for this is because it's something that I've been working with or struggling with rather for a very long time, maybe as long as I can remember. It's that idea of clarity and the feeling that I don't really have clarity. I think about it, sometimes it feels like things are just out of reach. And in order to explain that feeling, it's almost like a sphere. If you think about the earth and how there is an atmosphere around the earth, that is like my head or my mind. My mind is the earth, and there is a sphere around the earth, and that atmosphere that is around me is accessible to me. Mm-hmm. But then there are things just on the outside of that sphere that I cannot access, but I really want to access them because they hold clarity and they hold answers. And it's pretty frustrating to have that feeling. And it's been, as I said, for a very long time, almost like forever, when you want to accomplish something, when you want to perform something. Right now, or for the past 5 years, let's say, it's been a lot about finding a way to run my business in a profitable way, in a way that is sustainable, both financially and to my life. But it's been the same, when I was in design school, when you had a task, when you wanted to be really creative and come up with a really great solution or an amazing idea that would help people, that would be beneficial for many, something that would make a difference. And it was always out of reach. There was that lack of clarity around what it could be. But I could feel that it was there. I don't know if you can relate to this, that you sort of know, you have the feeling that there is something out there, but you just can't get clarity around what it is.
Yeah, I really understand exactly what you're talking about. So my idea with that, how I experience that, is that I have an idea. It has this kind of feeling or sensation. It's kind of making like a shape, like a cloud. And my lack of clarity is how the steps to take to make it something that's a shiny object.
But you actually have clarity around what it is.
Not yet. So it's like a fluffy cloud, but I want it to be the shiny object that's really clear and shiny.
Yeah.
Give to someone. It's all packaged and delivered. But it's the lack of clarity for me is the steps I take to.
Yeah. I kind of just want the clarity to be there. I just want it to be emerging, like a little glimmering diamond emerging, and his thinking like, this is it. This is what you should do. Then I would know all the steps to take to get there. But it's just that, what is the right thing to aim for? What is that perfect idea or that perfect solution for something? If I knew that, I would be able to just take the steps because I'm very pragmatic and I would know exactly what to do if I just knew the answer to that bigger question, that tip of the mountain. If I could just see that, I would know how to climb the mountain. And the idea for this was just the background of me trying to figure out clarity and trying to explain the problem that I really want clarity around certain things. And I've found that especially my meditation practice is something that has helped me with this. I think we've spoken about it before, that I have a very long daily meditation practice for almost 7 years, every single day. And this practice began pretty much the same way as when I started to practice yoga very consistently. I told myself I should practice yoga for 300 days during a year. That really set me off in a very consistent physical asana practice. And as often happens, after you're falling in love with the asana practice, the yoga sphere begins to open up. You get interested in a lot of the other aspects of yoga. And that for me, that was meditation. And I felt, oh, maybe I should do the same thing with meditation. I should practice meditation for many, many days and see where it takes you. And this was long before I really got into the Yoga Sutras or any of the yoga philosophy, really. It was just like pretty much in the beginning. I knew a little bit of the chakras and the yamas and niyamas, but nothing deeper. It's more afterwards that I understood that this consistent practice is such an important part of the Yoga Sutras and the important part of the concept of yoga. And it's connecting back to the Yoga Sutra 113 that is called Abhyasa. Like short, we call it Abhyasa. The sutra reads Tatra Shitau Yatno Bhyasa. And it translates to, of these two, effort toward steadiness of mind is practice. And then in the next sutra, 114, he continues this to say that the practice should be consistent, sustained, and sincere.
Yeah.
So what happened when I started this meditation journey, it first started off with guided meditation for, 2 years maybe, of guided meditations. I was using Headspace, and I did all their guided meditations over and over again. And then they have a program that is called, Level Up or Level 2, where it's less guided. So I did those for a long period of time. Eventually, I just decided that I was happier when I had no guidance at all. Because at some point you come to this stage when there is a meditation that is slightly guided. All of a sudden you get into that Zen state. You're really deep in the meditation. And then all of a sudden there is somebody starting to speak and you get pulled out. So I just felt that, okay, enough with this guidance. I just need silent meditation. And I found my own way of putting myself into that state where I could really go deep. And what I found was that during these meditations, I could ask questions, drop them into this nothingness, this stillness, and I could find clarity. There were answers coming to me sort of automatically. I usually describe it as when you try to remember the name of someone and you can't, and then like a day after it just drops in your mind and you're like, and that was his name.
And so can I just ask, when you ask the question, do you continually ask the question as the meditation focus, or do you ask the question and then allow space? What's your approach?
I just ask and allow space. And sometimes nothing comes up. And that is also part of the diligent practice, that you have to remember that clarity isn't coming, or most likely isn't just coming from asking once. And it comes from the practice. It comes from this diligent practice that is consistent and it's done for a long period of time.
And so If I can just ask you then, that space, what do you fill it with? Because it's obviously not then just empty space. You've asked the question, you've dropped that into your focus, and then you create space. But what do you do in that space? What do you do with the space?
I try to do nothing. That also comes from the diligent practice.
So, and nothing means, so not a focus on the breath, or not a focus on a light or a sound, or what is nothing?
If I lose the nothingness, I focus on the breath. But usually it's a nothingness. I don't know if you've read Eckhart Tolle when he explained it like you should wait for the next thought to come. And when you wait, there is a space that is nothing, because there is no thought coming unless it actually comes. It's hard to explain, but that is how he explains it, and it makes a lot of sense to me, because that is pretty much how I do it. I ask the question, and I just like, and there is nothing. And if I then another thought pops in, which it does, I just go back and focus on the breath, and I try to put myself in that nothing space again, waiting for the next thought to come, maybe asking the question again. But sometimes I just ask the question once and see what happens. But I try to keep myself in that very empty space. And I know that this might be discouraging for people who think that, I can never meditate because I can't make my thoughts stop. Of course, I used to think that too. It is hard to make your thoughts stop, but it actually works, and for me that is the space where I can find that clarity. Maybe it's just very, very short moments, but I think that most of us can experience those moments. Sometimes it is when you look at an amazing sunset, or when you're like having sex. It could be like those moments where there is nothing, where your head is just completely empty, and we're absolutely fully in that present moment.
Mm.
And with diligent practice, with the Abhyasa, I think that a lot of people could actually find those moments, and they hold a lot of clarity. But it takes effort. It's not going to be just meditating once every now and then, or it really has to do with that over a long period of time. And I think that is so wisely put. It's just another proof that the Yoga Sutras hold so much wisdom, because there is so much in doing something consistently over a long period of time, sustained. It is magic. There is so much to gain from that, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting about what we practice in meditation and what we practice in yoga is this aspect of presence and awareness. And that's what the consistency of the practice is, bringing yourself back into the present moment, bringing yourself back into awareness. And by doing that consistently, day after day, or however many times you practice in a week, but doing that consistently, is that you're developing the practice on the mat and in your practice to take off the mat of being aware and of being present. And so then if we're linking that back to clarity, that consistent practice of awareness, of presence, then starts to infiltrate the different aspects of your day and of your life, where you remember, I'm here and I can be in this present moment, rather than having all of the jumble of the past, present and future clouding what your decisions are or what your experience is in that present moment. So I think that idea of consistency of practice is interesting when we think about what it is that we're practicing. And awareness and presence is, of course, just one aspect.
I agree. And it's super important to think about that this is not just for those moments when you meditate. It becomes your life. It becomes your way of living, where that ability to have that awareness more and more in your daily life. I think that if more people would have that, it would be a better world, and when people actually had, not just reacting, but actually thinking before reacting and being more aware and more present and having more clarity about the consequences of different things. You're not just reacting all the time, which I think a lot of people are.
When I was thinking about this, I was thinking about how it affects me and this idea of clarity and how I gain clarity. And it is definitely through practice. And so the way that I could explain it is that I really like this idea that you've got about this metaphor of the earth and this sphere around it. But for me, it feels like the earth is the clarity and the sphere around it is what changes atmosphere and shape. And sometimes I've got this atmosphere around me, which is just this jumbleness. It's kind of messy, unclear. I know I've got a lot of things to do. I've got a huge to-do list. I know that I've got to get a lot of things done in my day, and I've got targets and goals to reach within my business, and I've got children to look after, and I've got all these things, but I'm just in this jumbled mess. And there's a part of me that says I'll miss the practice and just go to the to-do list. And when I do that, it's almost like I can't prioritize. It's almost like I can't really make a decision about what task to do first. And when I do the task, it doesn't feel like I'm doing it with the whole of myself. What I do notice when I'm in that state and I do a yoga practice and then go into meditation or vice versa, clarity comes from doing the practice. And there's something that settles within that space of doing nothing, or the focus on the breath, or the focus on the awareness and the presence, and focusing on the movement and moving that feeling through my body. Even if I'm not consciously trying to do that, it just shifts. And then I finish my practice. And then in fact, those days when I do that and I've still got the same amount of things on my to-do list, I then find that I get more things done, and I do it with the wholeness of myself. And if I don't get all those things done, I know how to make my to-do list with clarity for the next day. I thought that was really interesting, because I really notice a difference between the days that I don't practice and that I do, and that jumble mess. It's almost like when I don't practice, something's missing. And the whole part of me isn't there. And I feel a little bit of a slight anxiety, or there's something that hasn't settled. And that brings a lack of clarity in my action.
Oh, I agree. It really brings so much clarity. Like even not just the meditation practice, but the physical practice. It is really grounding and helps me just the same way that you describe it here, that it's helping me to stay focus and have clarity on what to do next. And it's a good transition to the other thing that I wanted to talk about in regard of this. It's how clarity is helping me living with my human design type of a manifesting generator. And this is a very common human design type. I think it's like 70% of the people, or it's many people who have the manifesting generator type. It means that I have a defined sacral, so I'm really driven by my sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is the center for creativity and ideas. Are just like, go, woo, do, try, do this. And in a way, it can be pretty frustrating. At least I find it sometimes frustrating. And I also know that you should try to work with it rather than against it. So I'm trying to do that. But it means practically that I am very good at starting things, very good at getting things done, sparking ideas and putting them out there. Just as I said in the beginning, if I get the idea, I can see that tip of the mountain. I know exactly the steps to take. So I'm just laying it out, I do this and this and this and this, and I know exactly where to take it. And I'm taking action all the time, just getting it done. However, I'm really bad at seeing it through. I'm really bad at taking it all the way to the top. That takes a generator, I think. Somebody who is better at doing things consistently and not expecting results straight away. So it helps me a lot to work, to practice, if you understand what I mean. I need to practice how to practice, because it helps me to understand that this consistency will help me see the results, and it will help me get the clarity. So for me, it really helps me to practice, even if it's hard many times to keep consistent, because I want to hop on the other shiny object. I just want to move to the next thing and the next thing. But I have to say that before I did yoga, the only thing that really stuck with me was my horses. I did that for a very long time, and I was very diligent, very dedicated, and I did it for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. After that, I did a lot of things. We spoke about this. So yoga has been, since then, the only thing that really stuck with me. Maybe it has a connection that it requires this practice, and that this practice grounds me. And the concept of practicing is just holding on to me.
Yeah. The practice itself is taking action, right? And so it might not be action towards the external goal, but it's taking an action of some sort, which is to move the energy or move something through the body. And so then the action itself creates the clarity, which can then feed back into another action. And that action might be off the mat, which will then, even if it's a tiny step, will create some clarity and reinforces this feeling of clarity. Then going into the practice, you again generate that energy, and then, so it becomes this kind of, it feeds itself when you go.
But for me, I think it's more about the action. The action is never the problem for me. It's staying on the same path and not just hopping to the next one all the time. Like, I'm always ready to take action. It's just I'm not the best at sticking to something for a long period of time. How are you? What do you know? What human design are you?
Yeah, so in fact, I was just looking that up as you said that, because I just got mine done, and I'm a generator, but you said you're a manifestor generator. I'm a 2 and a 4, so I don't know. I think generator I'm a generator.
But a generator is the one who is actually good at staying consistent. I don't know that much about this. I have to just put that out there. But when I read about this, it's the way I should be working. Like, if I was to work at a company, let's say, it would be good for me to be in the beginning of projects, to be that idea sparker, the one who just sets everything up. Yeah. And then I should get another project, and you should come in and you should follow through everything that I have set up for you, because you might not be super good at getting those actions, just as we actually realize this unconsciously during this conversation, that you speak more about getting clarity around the actions. But for me, it's very easy to see the actions, but I cannot follow through. So you should be the one who comes in after the manifesting generator has set up the path. Then you can follow the path, and you're really good at that. But I'm not great at following the path. I'm just hopping to the next shiny object.
Well, what was really interesting when I got my human design done is a friend of mine who's magnificent. She knows all of my numbers. She knows my date of birth. She knows everything about my astrology, now my human design. She knows me in all different, my numerology. So she's always saying, oh, you're an 8 and you're a this and you're a that. And so when she said that I'm a generator, before I had it done, there was a moment, because being an entrepreneur in a yoga business is difficult. I know exactly what you mean about having the ideas. My ideas are clear, but then it's like having to get things done. You can do the get things done bit, but then not sure what's happening at the other end. And I had this moment of, I was standing in a room and I just had everything everywhere. And I just went, I haven't got my systems. Where are my systems? I need my systems in place. Once I've got systems set up, then I can move all over the place. But I have to set them up. And when they're not set up clearly, then I don't feel like I can reach my goal.
Oh, that's fun. It is so interesting, because I'm really good at setting up the systems.
Yes, I know.
But I'm so bad at following them. And then I do something different. I have set it all up, and then I'm like, nah, I'm just going to do a little bit like this.
Oh, listen, what's the system?
Extremely annoying.
I'm like, go. You can't stop me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm so impressed by the way you set up our yoga teacher training system. It's just so interesting how we are good at different things, but it's still, there is a system to what we're good at. I mean, even this human design is a system. When you figure this out, that also can bring clarity, because it's kind of nice to know that, okay, this is just in me. I just have to learn how to work with this. I have to find a person who is good at following the systems that I can set up for this person. It just helps, and that grounds you just as much as the practice, just having the knowledge and feeling that I understand why I am like this. And it can be frustrating to always, like for me, to always go for the next thing and never be able to follow through fully. But it's also comforting to understand that it's okay, and you should just learn how to work with it, to use those qualities, because they are too really good qualities. Just as your qualities are really good at actually following through the systems, but maybe not as great as setting them up.
Yeah.
So I think that it is nice to lean into that it's it's just how you are. So to wrap up this discussion that is very interesting. We've been to different corners of our minds. The conclusion of this that I wanted to bring is the consistency and the idea of the diligent practice, the Abhyasa, how important it is and how much it can give you, both in clarity, but also in a sense of being grounded. When you do something for a long period of time, many days, and to do them continuously. We don't need to practice every day, but sometimes you talk to people and they say, I've been practicing yoga for so long and nothing happens. And you ask them, how often do you practice? Like, yeah, on and off, maybe once a week. And it really requires more than that. If you're going to do something, you have to do it more than once a week. It doesn't matter if it's yoga or playing the guitar. If you want to see progress, you need to practice diligently for a long period of time. And that can help you gain clarity. It doesn't matter if it's your physical practice or a meditation practice. It's just the concept of practicing.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave it. Thank you for this conversation. And
thank you.
So we're going to see each other just before the year is out to do our final episode of 2025.
Yeah.
So I'll look forward to speaking to you then.
I always look forward to speaking to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Yoga Lens podcast with Emily and Moni from Vim Yoga Academy. If you've been thinking about becoming a yoga teacher, or you just want to deepen your practice in a powerful way, our next 200-hour yoga teacher training starts January 5th. It is mostly online, so you can go at your own pace, and then we meet for one transformative week in Mallorca the last week of March. If that sounds like your kind of journey, head over to vimyogaacademy.com to learn more. We'd so love to have you with us, and don't forget to book your personal meeting so that we can offer you the best price on this training.